Hello, everybody. Happy May. It's May Day. Although, isn't that usually used as a distress call? I'm not in distress, but it is May Day. Um, Happy May. Happy day 22. This is 8 installments left and counting down to our final gathering. Welcome to What the WTF. Oh, here we are starting again. That's so weird. Okay, so I was like, what, like 15 seconds, 20 seconds in, and then it just like restarted. So, hello again, everybody. Happy May Day. Happy day 22 of What the WTF, where we are exploring life post eclipse and beyond. I've just been using this 30 days and the eclipse as a marker, I guess, really as a threshold of sorts where it's about this shift and leaning into it. And, for me, 3 weeks ago, I was in a much different place than I am now. If you watch What the WTF installment one, you'll get a sense of where I was. And leaning into the not knowing, leaning into the fact that the old models don't work, leaning into the fact that, hey, Elizabeth, that spirit and self are clearly saying, time to go, boo. Like, you've outstayed your welcome in this model, in this space. And so I finally started listening. I finally got the message. Hey, Brian. Hey, Sophia. Hey, Dan. Hey, Allie. I finally got the message that, oh, it's not that I'm doing something wrong. It's not that I was at a deficit. It's not that I was messing it up. I just wasn't paying attention. And so rather than see unknown, not knowing, collapse, chaos that was emerging and has continued to emerge over the past 4.5 years, rather than seeing that as an indicator that, oh, I've done something wrong and I need to fix that, which I think is, most humans, that's what we would do, right? If things are getting wonky, if things are starting to look a little rickety, then we think like, oh, what can I do to fix that? Because I don't want it to keep getting rickety. And sometimes that works. And sometimes it's just a band-aid on a head wound. And, I think for me, it was the first thing that I began to ask myself when things started to get a little wonky was, okay, what haven't I done? What else can I do? How can I fix it? How can I support it? How can I make it more interesting, novel, whatever, whatever. So I think it's important to try, right? Especially for me, because I historically have a tendency, it's a very Virgoan trait of, this mercurial thing of like, ooh, squirrel, and I'm off in this new thing. So sometimes, novelty for earth signs can be seductive. And I learned commitment and I learned dedication through continuing to try to resuscitate and put my practice on life support. And y'all know I tried everything. And then 3 weeks ago, finally got the message of, oh, it's not that I am wrong or wasn't doing it right, or I just wasn't listening. I wasn't getting the message. And I tried. And I can now safely say, as I close that door behind me, that it's done. I tried everything I could. And I think it's about understanding our own inner workings and beginning to identify for ourselves when we begin to feel like, yeah, it's time to move on. It's time to move on. And so that's really what this whole What the WTF series has been about, has been dedicated to letting go, dedicated to embracing the new, stepping across the threshold and summoning all layers of myself and saying, baby, I understand you're a little anxious. I understand you're a little fraught. I understand you're overwhelmed and a little uncomfortable because you don't know. And you're in the weeds. You're in a place that you've never been before. You're in a place where everything is totally new. And yes, you're standing on the foundation that you have built. But what is being asked of you now is a totally new ball game. There are no models. There is nothing to copy, to look at it and go, oh, that's how you do it. This is just you and spirit and your expression. And that's okay. It's got to be okay. Because here's the thing. If we're on a path and we can see the path cleared before us, it's not your path. And that's okay. We all walk very similar paths, and there are well-worn phases or, sort of periods within a spiritual journey that most people go through. So it doesn't necessarily mean you're on the wrong path if the path is laid out before you, but it's not a new path. That's important to understand. So it's about remembering, right? We're not learning, we're here remembering. So you're activated and you're on the path and you're beginning to understand, but really it's about doing what you came here to do. And it's a good thing that you don't know how to do it, because if you did, or if there was already a model, then it wouldn't necessarily be what we need right now. Why we are here and why humanity is so activated right now. And what I think is happening, and I'm going to talk about this in my May update as soon as I get it together, is whether or not we're aware of it, we are stepping outside of these preconceived, prepackaged boxes. We are knocking down, obliterating, decimating the old models of restriction and scarcity and exclusion. And it feels really overwhelming and it feels kind of scary sometimes, because we have no way of knowing if what we're doing is right other than how we feel. Because again, right, we're not going to get a seal of approval from the matrix, right? Your competition, so to speak, is not going to give you a thumbs up and say, yeah, go for it. Oh God, these fucking AI things. Although I like the fireworks, I thought I had them turned off. But my point here is that it should be unknown. It should be uncomfortable. It should be unfamiliar. It should give you a moment of going, whoa, what the hell is this? How did I get here? What am I supposed to do? It should feel like it's pushing you way, way over the edge of your comfort zone. It should feel a little bit like a trust fall into yourself. If it feels comfortable, if it feels familiar in the sense of like, oh yeah, I've done this before, I know how to do this. If it feels like it's giving you permission just to kind of unplug and to go unconscious and to just go into this dreamy, sort of ungrounded, untethered, sort of hazy, foggy, fuzzy reality, like move away from that. These days, I'm moving towards the highest excitement, moving towards the things that are bright and shiny and intriguing and exciting and wow, what's that? And also understanding that the majority of the things that are intriguing and exciting and bright and shiny for me right now are all outside of my comfort zone. So I want you to understand that your highest excitement isn't always going to feel 100% comfortable. The thing that is the most inspiring and, oh my God, I'm so curious about that, I have to know about, the thing that is drawing your desire and activating your curiosity and magnetizing you to it, it may not necessarily be something that you're super, super comfortable with. It might be a big ask. And as of yesterday, right, we were talking about, what was I saying? I was saying to y'all, like, go out and fuck shit up, be a chaos agent, do something that makes you uncomfortable. And I did. I'd love to know what y'all did, because we talked about it yesterday. Now, did you do it? Or was this just online bullshit? Oh, I'm going to say I do it, but in reality, I'm not. Like, be who you are in the comments. If you say in the comments, I'm going to do something that makes me uncomfortable, you better motherfucking do it if you're on my channel, because I'm going to hold you accountable. I did it. Yesterday, I had a call with a guy who has a course that I'm considering taking. It is way outside of my comfort zone. And I almost canceled the call. Yesterday, I knew the call was coming. I was hemming and hawing. I could feel my resistance. I could feel my insecurity. I could feel the doubt, because it's asking me to go way, way over the comfort zone. And then we had our conversation yesterday. And I said, okay, everybody, do something today that makes you uncomfortable and report back tomorrow. It's today. What did y'all do? I did it. I did it. I put my money where my motherfucking mouth was, and I did it. I sat down. I had the call. I was really uncomfortable. I humbled myself to my ignorance. I admitted what I didn't know, and I let him teach me. I let him show me. I let him inspire me. And now I am so fucking ready. I am so excited. So did you do it? Good. You did it, Pixie. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you, Weevil Girl. I'm proud of all of you. Hey, Sophia, if you know you're already in an uncomfortable zone, then take care of yourself. If rest feels like the thing you need, then do that, right? Just honor yourself. But here's the thing. Do your best to only speak of the things that you know you're going to do. And if you don't know, I don't know. What are you going to do tomorrow? I don't know. How are you going to get there? I don't know. How much is it going to cost you? I don't know. Where's the money going to come from? I don't know. Why didn't you know? Because it's none of my fucking business. That's Spirit's job. Ting. Also, congratulations. Just a little sidewind note here. Fezzy Girly Girl. She guessed the show that what the WTF came from. Thank you, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. Drum roll, please. I'll let you type in the chat if you're listening, Fezzy Girl. You can tell everybody what it was. You discovered it yesterday. You deserve the accolades. If she doesn't announce it by the end of today's live, then I'll tell y'all. But I'm just saying, like, this is the time. This is the time to do the thing that feels like, oh, this is really big. Do the thing that feels like, oh, this is a big ask. Do the thing that feels like, oh, this is really stretching me. Do those things. Because we are at this point where there's no turning back. I was speaking with a friend yesterday, and we were trying to figure out, like, where are we? Like, what's going on? We've both been in this very, very transformational, very otherworldly passage since the eclipse. We're both, yes, thank you, Fezzy Fez Girly Girl. So we were both just kind of like, what the hell's going on? Like, I want to share with you, but I don't really know how to share. I don't really know what to say. Like, I can't put it into words, which I think is another good thing, right? If there are no words for it, then let it just be undefinable. If it's an abstract thing that you cannot really define, then that's okay. Let it be, because the mind is always going to come up with something that is far, far less incredible than the actual experience. Sometimes words fail, right? Sometimes they're just not enough. Sometimes they fail, and that's okay. Let it be uncomfortable. Let it be unknown. Because what I was saying to my friend yesterday was like, I feel like the door just closed behind me. I feel like the threshold that I've been dancing across back and forth for the past 3 or 4 years. And I know I'm not alone in having this experience of feeling like, I feel like part of the time I'm in one reality and another part of the time I'm in another reality. And then sometimes I feel like I'm 50% here, 50% there. It's finally this sense of like, oh, I'm not in two worlds anymore. I'm projecting my consciousness into an outdated mode of reality for the time being. But I am no longer located consciously, and my consciousness is elsewhere. So now's the time. Let yourself be bewildered. Let yourself be like, where am I? What the WTF is going on? Like, let yourself be a little uncomfortable, right? I think about when I was, and I use this example a lot, but it's so apropos. When I was in puberty and I was, I think it was the summer between my 12th and 13th, or 13th and 14th birthday. Anyway, there was a summer where I grew like 3 or 4 inches in one summer, like waking up in the middle of the night in pain, excruciating, because my bones were growing so fast, it hurt. Now, I'm not saying we have to go out and find things that are excruciatingly painful. What I am saying is discomfort isn't always a bad thing. Strength training, building muscle, building strength requires pushing a little more than we did the last time, right? It requires a little bit deeper focus. It requires a little more breath control, right? It's like any skill. I took piano for 13, 14 years. And when you start, it's literally 2 notes, middle C and the one above and the one below, C, B, C, C, D, C. Like, it's just it. And for 13 years, I practiced piano and played piano, and every year it got harder and harder and more challenging and more challenging. And every year when it got more challenging, I was like, I'm never going to be able to learn this. And I always did. So yeah, I'm not saying go seeking out things that make you freak out. But when the discomfort arrives, be curious about it. When you look around and you go, oh, things are starting to look a little wonky and wobbly. It feels like things are about to collapse. Be curious about that. The only thing you ever meet through your journey of curiosity is more of what you already are. The only things you lose through your journey of curiosity are the things that you never were. And whatever we hold up as true, or whatever someone is saying is true, if it is really true, then questioning it will only do one thing. It will reveal the veracity of that truth. So when something is true in the objective sense, or even in the temporary sense, right? We talk about little t truth and big T truth. Big T truth is truth forever, little t truth is truth for a time. But even little t truth, even temporary truth, will only be revealed as true or not through the questioning and investigation of it. So when there's something in you, when there's a part of you that says, oh, don't question that, why? What is it that I don't want myself to find out? And for sure, fucking sure, when someone out there, especially in a position of power or authority, says, this is true and you can't question it, you motherfucking best believe I'm going to question it. Nobody who thinks that they're in charge of me gets to have any secrets that relate to you being in charge of me, okay? We'll just go on record and say that, motherfucker. If you are not transparent and honest and in integrity, I'm sure as hell not going to let you hold me accountable to my transparency and honesty and integrity. Fuck that. No, not going to happen. Not today, Satan. Not today. So do the things that make you uncomfortable. Do the things that ask more of you. Do the things that are like, oh God, can I do this? Oh, yes, I can. And if you try it and it turns out you can't, well, then you know. So what's bad about that? Then you have a choice. You say, yeah, I don't know how to do that and I don't want to. I am happy in my ignorance of knowing how to do that and I'll stay that way. Or I don't know how to do that and I really want to know how to do that. And what I perceive as my failure makes me want to do it even more. Either way, you learn. Either way, you grow. Either way, you acquire a skill or an understanding that you did not previously have. So you got to be willing to push back a little. You got to be willing to stand up and say, no, I'm good. I don't need to go anywhere. If my presence makes you uncomfortable, then certainly you can go somewhere, but I'm fine where I am. Yeah, fail, there's really no failure. And I've been talking about the idea and the concept of failure a lot lately, but you don't fail. You either win or you learn, right? You either get what you wanted, you either get what you expected, or you learn. So either way, it's fine. It's fine. And the more I learn, the more I know, the more I know, the more informed I am, the more present I can be, and the more trust I have. Yeah, exactly, Bliss. You know, if you're afraid to learn a new perspective, or if you're afraid to peel back the curtain on something, pull back the curtain, peel back the layers, there's a reason. There's a reason. So I think that, as we're coming to a close of this beautiful series, it's okay that we don't know what's next. And it's okay that we don't know what's on the other side of this. I may continue to show up and do something similar. I may not. I may go back to a monthly or twice monthly thing. I may not. It may continue to be random. It may not. I don't know. But what I do know is that whatever comes through as an inspired action and an inspired choice is something I can trust, at least to the degree that I can investigate it. I can be curious about it. Ooh, what's this bright and shiny new information that just came in? Ooh, this is creating some ripples. Ooh, this is interesting. I'm curious about this. What is this? And then you figure it out, and then you decide if you like it or not, if you want it or not, and life goes on. We make so much of this beyond what we really need to. It's not as critical as we make it out to be. I'm not saying it's not important, but I can solve shit and recreate shit and heal shit and transform shit and resurrect shit and destroy shit through joy and excitement and creative collaboration and community. I don't need to have suffering and misery and fear and anxiety and anger in order to learn something. So you get to decide. Do you want to learn through the upward spiral or do you want to learn through the downward spiral? And the upward spiral requires you to surrender a whole lot. It requires you to be open to a whole lot. It requires a whole lot of willingness and curiosity and, the ability to dance with the unknown. But the downward spiral requires a lot of you too. It requires assimilation. It requires you cutting off the parts of you that you perceive aren't acceptable or lovable or enough. It requires you to sacrifice and surrender your authority. It requires you to fall in lockstep with everybody else, regardless of if it's something you really want to do. So you get to decide which trajectory you're going to take. And I am always going to keep my eye open and myself open for the next step up, because it's all relative, right? We can talk about an energetic scale, a vibrational scale, and we can say anger. Let's just use anger as a low vibration. And then a step above anger maybe is apathy, right? So apathy feels better than anger, but apathy feels as good as joy, but we're talking about relatives. So if you go from anger to apathetic to just neutral, that's a step up. So no matter where I am, no matter how deep in the depths I am, I can always find a notch up that feels a little better. And that's what I'm always going to choose. It's not toxic positivity. It's not false hope or false joy. It's understanding that I choose to always hook myself into the upward spiral, the upward trajectory, because I just don't find it interesting to learn through the downward spiral anymore. It's just kind of worn out. So that's my choice. So again, I think the most important question we can be asking ourselves right now is, who does this serve? When you're faced with the choice, when you're faced with the decision, when you're faced with action, when you're faced with confusion or disconnection, you're like, wait a minute, I thought I had it, but I don't anymore. Just ask yourself, okay, who does this serve? What I was going to do, what I was thinking about doing, what I want to do, who does this serve? Who is this for? Am I doing it because I really want to, or am I doing it because I feel like I have to? Am I doing it out of sense of entitlement? Am I doing it because I said yes and then I changed my mind, but I can, whatever the thing is, just do it. Just let yourself and choose. Choose on purpose. Or not. It's up to you. That is the key. Thank you, by the way, to everybody who's been purchasing Notes from the Higher Self by me, Amar, available on Amazon. Also, thank you to those of you who are taking the time to leave a review. That really, really helps me. Even if you just go on Amazon and search for Notes from the Higher Self and click around on it, that will also bring the listing to the top. Always appreciate the donations. You're so generous, and they continue to roll in, and I continue to be grateful. Links are in the description below for PayPal and Stripe. I think that's all I got for y'all today, but we'll be back tomorrow for day 23. So 7 of these left and counting down. Happy May, everybody. Have a fabulous day. Love you. Mwah. See you tomorrow.